Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe my channel. What happens when a beloved TV host finds himself at the center of a storm? Adil Ray, known for his charm and wit, is now facing serious backlash after seemingly endorsing Sharia law. In this video, we dive deep into the crisis talks with his bosses and explore the implications of his comments. Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind the headlines and what it means for his career and the audience that loves him. The 11th floor executive suite of the Sunrise Collective, TSC, was not designed for comfort. It was designed for control. The walls were paneled in cool, dark walnut, and the view over the city was pristine, distant, and utterly silent. This silence was the first thing that unnerved Cora Vale. Usually, the Sunrise Collective studio was a hive of chaotic, vibrant energy. Today, it felt like an operating theater. Cora, known for her sharp intelligence and empathetic interviewing style on the flagship show, The Morning Catalyst, was waiting for the tribunal. Her offense? A single philosophical post on the social platform Momentum. The post concerned the newly appointed city administrator, Mr. Thorne, who was pushing a controversial urban renewal plan. Public fear-mongering had labeled Thorne's ideas as radical state control. Cora, however, saw deeper value. Her post, shared days prior, read, "Some claim Thorne's agenda is to impose cohesive governance. They might be right. But the essence of cohesive governance rests on distributive ethics. It promotes shared stewardship, universal care, community investment, and accountability. Most established institutions already operate a hybrid of this ethical framework and existing civil statutes, constantly evolving toward better practice, regardless of the sensationalist portrayal by critics." It was an observation, an argument for intellectual fairness. It was also, as she quickly learned, an act of commercial sabotage. The door clicked open, and three figures entered. Randall Shaw, the network CEO, whose face was permanently set to a strained, expensive tan, and two lawyers who smelled faintly of panic and bespoke leather. Randall didn't sit. He rested his hands on the table, his posture radiating suppressed fury. "Cora, your post on distributive ethics. We need to talk about the concept of brand fiduciary duty." Cora's voice, normally warm and resonant, was level. "I posted an intellectual defense of underlying humanistic values, Randall. I clarified that I was not endorsing a specific political policy, but examining the principles, fairness, mutual aid, collective well-being that we discuss on air every morning." Randall gestured dismissively toward one of the lawyers, who clicked open a tablet. "Your clarification created a secondary wave of exposure 48 hours later. The market doesn't trade in underlying humanistic values, Cora. It trades in risk. Your mention of cohesive governance and the subsequent social backlash resulted in a 4% dip in investor confidence metrics. That's $250 million in market instability you created with 80 characters. The financial stakes, Cora realized, were unimaginably high. For months, TSC had been quietly preparing for a leveraged buyout by Omnicord Ventures, a vast conservative technology conglomerate. The deal, valued at $1.6 billion, was meant to finalize by the end of the fiscal quarter. Omnicore wanted assets that were not just profitable, but predictable. Cora, the brilliant, unpredictable voice, was now threatening the entire transaction. "The timing," Randall said, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, "is catastrophic. We are at the final valuation stage. Omnicore is evaluating every perceived instability. When a key figure at a major news network appears to champion an economic framework that certain demographics perceive as radically anti-capitalist, the signal to the investor community is clear. unstable leadership, and volatile content. Cora felt a surge of cold cynicism. They weren't mad at the ethics, they were mad at the optics. Her desire to introduce intellectual integrity into the conversation was being quantified as a high-risk indicator on a financial spreadsheet. So, my job is to be an outline, to be safe. Your job, Randall corrected sharply, is to be a reliable, expensive asset. Our internal media analytics show that your personal voice is incredibly valuable. But when that voice compromises the stability required for a $1.6 billion transaction, the value of the transaction supersedes the value of the voice. We need a corrective statement, not a clarification, but a repudiation of any suggestion that your views align with the extremist political elements currently misusing the term cohesive governance. We need to prove we can self-correct immediately. The lawyers slid a prepared script toward her, a statement so vague and corporate that it stripped her original post of any meaning. It was an apology not for the idea, but for the inconvenience of the idea. Cora picked up the paper, the glossy stock feeling heavy in her hand. She had prided herself on being the anchor who spoke truth. Yet here she was, asked to exchange that truth for a fraction of a $1.6 billion check. It was a choice between her integrity and the financial future of the company that employed her. She knew instantly which commodity was more disposable to the people in this room. The only question was whether she could read the statement without her conscience audibly cracking. That draft establishes the financial and ethical conflict clearly, using neutral, fictionalized concepts while keeping the word count near 800. I'm ready to move on. Would you like to see what Cora writes in her required retraction, or maybe explore the reaction of her co-hosts to the crisis?